Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Kirsten Saves the Day, Chapter 4, Bringing Back the Bees. Do you have a saw? Papa asked Lars. Yes, I have it, Lars said. He lifted the big saw onto his shoulder. Kirsten and Peter watched from where they sat in the barn loft. Today, Papa and Lars were going to saw the bee tree and move the colony of bees back to the farm. A round straw skep would be the bees' new home. Papa and Lars would set it on the meadow near the barn, and the bees would fill the skep with honey combs, but Papa would be able to harvest more honeys. Why are we taking the bellows? Lars asked. Smoke will calm the bees before we move them, Papa said. We need the bellows to blow the smoke inside the bee tree. See, our torch wouldn't have worked anyway, Peter whispered to Kirsten. She didn't answer him. She had her chin in her hands and she was thinking. When she shut her eyes, she remembered the bear rushing at the tree where she and Peter hid. She didn't like to have these bad memories. I should go back to the clearing where the bear chased us, she said very softly. Peter sat on his heels and stared at her. Why do you want to go back? It was terrible to be chased. He put his hand on her forehead the way Mama did when they were sick. Do you have a fever? No, I do not have a fever, but I dreamed about the bears last night, Kirsten said. I think if I go back to the woods today, I won't ever have the nerve again. Well, I'm not going, not even with Papa and Lars, Peter said firmly. When Papa picked up the bee veils, Kirsten climbed down the ladder. I can carry those for you, Papa, she said. You have to carry the skep. Papa raised his eyebrows. Are you asking to come with me and Lars? Kirsten nodded. She thought Papa was still angry with her because she hadn't seen him smile since he had found her and Peter in the tree yesterday. Can I come with you, please? Lars scratched his blonde head. Are you afraid of the bears, Kirsten? Lars was 15. It seemed to Kirsten that he wasn't afraid of anything in the world. Yes, I'm afraid, she said. She could barely hear her own voice. But I think I'll be less afraid if I go back with you and Papa. Lars grinned at her, but Papa said sternly, Moving bees isn't play, Kirsten. I know, Papa, she said. If you come with us, will you do exactly as I tell you? Papa asked. Yes, I will. I will do exactly as you tell me. Kirsten grabbed the bee veils. She glanced up at Peter, who sat at the top of the ladder with his arms around her knees. Could Peter come too? She asked Papa. Before Papa could answer, Peter said, I'm going to stay home and look after Caro. Papa took the straw skep in his arms. Peter, tell your mother that Kirsten is going with me and Lars. Mama's not to worry. Kirsten will be safe with us. Peter slid down the ladder and ran to the house. Kirsten followed Papa and Lars back to the woods. At the clearing, Papa took Kirsten's hand and led her across the spot open space from the bee tree. He drew a mark on the ground with the toe of his boot. Stand right here, Kirsten. Don't even come a single step closer to the bee tree, Papa said. Kirsten stood right on the mark Papa had drawn. Sunlight slanted the trees, and the air smelled of basswood blossoms. But even on this pretty morning, it was easy to remember the mother bear snorting and pawing here. Kirsten watched Papa and Lars closely so she wouldn't think too much about the bear. They put veils over their hats and pulled them down to cover their faces, and then Papa started a fire by the bee tree. When the fire was going, Lars used the bellows to pump smoke inside the hole. Big puffs of black smoke disappeared in the hollow of the bee tree. At first the bees buzzed more loudly, then they were quieter, as though they might have fallen asleep. Now, Papa said to Lars, we'll saw off the top of the tree. They took each end of the saw and began cutting the dead tree just below the place where the bees lived. Soon the treetop crashed into the clearing. Kirsten looked over her shoulder. If any bears were near, that thud would scare them away. Quickly, Papa put the straw skep over part of the tree that was still standing. He thumped into the tree to the moves into the skep. When he thought all the bees were inside, he lifted the skep on his board. Then he and Lars took the saw again. They cut a thick log from the stump. It was filled with combs of honey. They loaded the log full of honey onto the boar too, and each picked up the end. "Let's head for home," Papa said. She wasn't so frightened now. She knew there were bears in the forest and that there would always be here. But she knew, too, that she would be wise and careful. If she didn't bother them, the bears would stay away. She ran to catch up with Papa and Lars. When they got to the farm, Papa and Lars put the beast Skep on a platform in the meadow. Then they carried the log full of honey back to the cabin. Mom was there with hot water to milk the waxy honeycombs. Peter was scrubbing out crocks to fill the honey. Kirsten stood a little way away, watching. "Is that a big colony of bees?" Mama asked Papa. "It's a big, good one," Papa said. It will make lots more honey. And look at all the honey in this log now. If we keep enough for cooking, there will be plenty to sell in town this Tuesday." Mama clasped her hands in pleasure. Kirsten could see that Mama was happy. Still, she didn't make Kirsten feel as proud of honey as she expected to be. As though she read Kirsten's mind, Mama said, "Why are you looking so sad, dear?" Mama said. "I thought I could get the honey for you." Kirsten blurted out, "I thought I could do it all by myself. I wanted to help you get the things you need from Mr. Burkhoff's store." But instead of helping, suddenly she couldn't talk anymore. Her eyes were filled with tears. She had nothing to be proud of after all. They had taken Pop and Lars to get the honey. After all she'd done was put herself and Peter in danger. And Caro had been clawed. Tears dripped off her face onto her dress. Mama's arm went around Kirsten's shoulders. "I'm proud of you for finding the bee tree. Papa and I know you wanted to help. And you did help. You found us good honey to use this summer and enough to sell in town, too. And since your papa brought the bees home, we can count on having more honey next fall. All because of you, Kirsten." Mama gave her a squeeze. "Now we have work to do to get this honey ready to sell on the 4th of July. We're going to need your help again." Kirsten blinked at Mama through a tear. She wanted to be just like Mama when she grew up. "You're a smart girl, Kirsten," Papa said. He wiped her tears from her chin with his thumb. "You're certainly brave. Nothing seems to scare you. You just have to remember to be brave and careful at the same time." Papa smiled, told her everything would be all right. That's the end of that chapter. See you later.